So I don't know if you know this or not, but Jeanne Phillips is officially a senior at the Holmes Institute School of Ministry. So she'll be graduating in June of 2013 and officially licensed minister, and we just look forward to that. Yay! She's a founding member here at Vision. She's been a licensed practitioner for 15 years. And what I know about Jeanne is that she walks through this process with such integrity, with such love and such depth, and now she's going to share it with you. And I welcome her with love.
Oh, let me just take this in. Beautiful faces. We're talking about connection today. And I was just sitting there thinking about the connections that I have here. 15 years of connections with Patty, with Billy, and I just was a little bit overwhelmed. And I'm just so grateful for the connection I have to this community and to all of you, because this is my home. And so I thank you very much for accepting me in and listening to me today, although I swear, I don't think I really have anything new to say. Billy said it all, Andy sang it all. It's like, okay, well, I'll just say it in my words, I guess. So the theme this month is Service to the One, and today's topic is Spirit and Connection. So we're talking about oneness, power of one, and connection. And the truth is our connection to Spirit and our connection to each other are one and the same thing, right? They're not separate, because we are one. So we're here to be of service to each other, is really what the call is. Our founder of religious science, Ernest Holmes, says, we are all part of each other because the same God is in each one of us, just wearing a different face. I love that. And we have so many different faces, don't we? But we're all connected. We're all one. The power of one. Of course, it reminds me of a joke about a Buddhist monk who walks into a pizza parlor and has a special order, and he walks up to the counter and says, "Make me one with everything." Had to do it. Old joke, couldn't resist. But really, the joke's on us, because we are already one with everything. We don't have to make anything, right? It's really the foundational principle of oneness, of religious science, oneness, of science of mind, because there is no separation, as Patty said, as Billy said. There is no separation. It's an illusion. I mean, granted, we are separate beings in that sense, but at our heart, we are connected. And we forget, and we forget, and we forget, and we forget. We buy into the illusion. We believe that we're separate from the people, places, and things around us. And when we forget our oneness and our connection with everything, we move into fear. And why is that? I think it's because we know we can't do this life alone. Right? It's too big. We need each other. We need that connection. We need, and there is that integral call to oneness, to connection with each other. But instead of facing that fear and calling it for what it is and facing that illusion, we say, well, we go into our defense mode, is what we do, right? Our favorite strategy. So we might become maybe controlling. Okay. That would be my favorite one. Or depressed, or angry, or withdrawn. A multitude of reactions, and it's all because we're forgetting the truth that we are one. And truly, there's nothing to defend against, right? We're all one. Ernest Holmes says, Can We Talk to God Again? He says, we should not separate life from living, spirit from matter, nor divine principle from universal creation. God is all in all. That is, God is and is in everything. In everything. God is all in all. I love that. And I get it up here. Do I get it here? Sometimes it helps me to come up with like an image or a symbol to help really ground that, to ground some of these ideas. And so here's today's symbol. It's a rope. And it's one way to see oneness. Imagine this rope is representing the allness of God. All of the qualities and the essence of God is right here and woven so beautifully into the threads. And this is kind of the movement of divine life, right? This is all of life, the whole life of God. So, and I'm going to tie a couple of knots in it. Like a magician or something. And consider the relationship between the knots. The knots are different from the rope, but they're not other than the rope, right? Okay, got that. And so what if we give names to the knots? Okay, so this is me, and this is Reverend Patty, and this is Billy, or a friend or a family member, okay? Each knot different, unique, but yet made of the same rope. Which means, they're all part of God's essence. They're all part of this whole life of God. And so, what happens if someone dies? Right? I'm thinking of Allison. But where did she go? Granted, the form may be gone, but her essence is still here. There is no separation. There is no separation. And we may mourn the loss of the form, but we're not separated from them ever. Because we are united in that divine life, that God essence, in life and in death. Right? Absolutely connected eternally. Good news, right? Good news. And the best news is that no matter how often we forget this truth, our soul remembers. And it is always calling us into a greater connection. There is that innate drive, a desire, throughout our lives. The South African culture has a name for it. It's called Ubuntu. Ubuntu. Say that with me. Ubuntu. It's an African ethic or philosophy that's summed up as, I am what I am because of who we all are. I am what I am because of who we all are. And it's best described by this story given by a Western anthropologist. He was studying the habits and customs of an African tribe and found himself, of course, surrounded by children because they're always curious and they always learn. And one day he got some candy from a nearby village. He put it in a basket. And he put it at the foot of a tree, and he said, "Okay, kids, let's play this game. Everybody stand here, and when I say go, run to the tree, and the first one to get to the tree can have all the candy." Oh, great! Kids all line up. He says go, and something strange happens. Instead of this grand race, all of the children grab each other's hands and run to the tree so they all arrive together. And they sit down and they happily share the candy. And the anthropologist says, well, okay, why would you do that? And the children answered, Ubuntu. Ubuntu. How could any one of us be happy if all the others were sad? What a wonderful concept. Imagine if our culture held that. It In fact, Bishop Desmond Tutu describes Ubuntu as the essence of being human. He says Ubuntu speaks particularly about the fact that you can't exist as a human being in isolation. It speaks about interconnectedness. You can't be human all by yourself. We think of ourselves far too frequently as just individuals separated from one another, whereas you are connected. And what you do affects the whole world. And when you do, it spreads out. It is for the whole of humanity. Ubuntu, our essence as humans. It's the rope, right? The whole life of God. Another good example. So there's another piece that connects us that I want to talk about, and it's the heart-to-heart connection that I call compassionate presence. You know, Reverend Patty last week talked about compassion in action. So think of this as part 2. We're going to talk about compassion in presence. And a great example of this comes from The Mouths of Babes, right, through the author Leo Buscaglia. He was once asked to judge a contest to find the most caring child, and the winner was a 4-year-old boy. One day, the child's next-door neighbor was an elderly man, and he had recently lost his wife. And so one day the boy saw the man sitting on the porch crying. And so he went up to the neighbor's yard and climbed onto the man's lap and just sat there. And he sat there for a while. And when he came home, his mom said, "What'd you tell him? What'd you guys talk about?" And the little boy said, "Nothing. I just helped him to cry." I knew I wasn't going to be able to get through that. Helping him to cry. That is compassionate presence, right? And you know what's wonderful about that story is a 4-year-old knows how to do this, which means we do too. It's innate. It is a natural impulse to be with people, just open-hearted. You know, when I tell people that I'm a hospice chaplain, oh, you forgot to mention, okay, I'm a hospice chaplain. So when I tell people that, I often hear the same thing over and over. You know, first they go, "Oh my God, how can you do that? It must be so depressing. It must be so emotionally draining." And then when I describe, you know, just the sense of honor and joy that comes from just sharing the sacred journey with someone that's facing a challenge or in a life crisis, all of a sudden they'll go, "Wow, I want to do that. I wish I could do that." And I'm here to tell you, you can. I mean, maybe you can't be a chaplain, but we all have the capacity to be that compassionate presence for each other, because we are all part of that compassionate connection, right? We're all part of that. We're all intertwined. And let me tell you describe a little bit more about what compassionate presence is. It's just simply being able to walk alongside people in pain. Just being just with them exactly where they are, without trying to fix. No solving here, no solving required. It's just the process of staying engaged with them and present as they move through their feelings, their thoughts, and their own self-inquiry. And, you know, it's something we can offer our friends, our coworkers, our family members. Anyone who's going through a rough time, we can be that compassionate presence for them. And what a gift. What a gift they receive and we receive in the process. It's also a wonderful way to see the divine in action, because it unfolds in many wondrous ways, I can tell you. And why is because simply by being in a safe and loving space of compassionate presence, answers are found. Understandings are revealed. Healing happens. it's really quite amazing when you think about it. Just being here can affect that, but it does. The Celtic tradition calls it an anam cara, a soul friend. I think you might have heard that before. Irish poet and philosopher John O'Donoghue writes, "In the early Celtic church, a person acted as a teacher, companion, or spiritual guide and was called an anam cara. With the anam cara, you could share your innermost self, your mind and your heart. This friendship was an act of recognition and belonging. In everyone's life, there is a great need for an anam cara, a soul friend. In this love, you are understood as you are, without mask, without pretension. Where you are understood, you are at home." An anam cara. I think we all need a soul friend. Don't we? Yeah. But beyond that, we can all be that kind of compassionate presence for each other. And that is the soul's call. That is the rope that connects us. I've been reading Kitchen Table Wisdom by Dr. Rachel Naomi Remen. She's a physician in Northern California that's leading the charge to bring spirituality into medicine. Really powerful woman, powerful work. She describes compassionate presence as being of service to the wholeness of others, being of service to the wholeness of others. She says serving makes us aware of our wholeness and its power. The wholeness in us serves the wholeness in others and the wholeness in all of life. The wholeness in you is the same as the wholeness in me. And from the perspective of service, we are, of course, all connected. Because all suffering is like my suffering, and all joy is like my joy. And I think the important thing to realize is we serve in this compassionate presence with all of us, all parts of us, our hearts, our minds, our souls, and from all of our life experiences. So that even includes some of those not so pretty parts. Right? But actually, our limitations serve. Our wounds serve. Even our darknesses can serve. Because my pain is the source of my compassion. My woundedness is the key to my empathy. It reminds me of the Rumi quote, "Don't turn away. Keep your gaze on the bandaged place. That is where the light enters you." The bandaged place is where the light enters. Our wounds are where the light enters, and it is also where the light emerges to connect, to touch other people. Service as compassionate presence, it does heal, and it is the work of the soul. And so here's my greatest learning from my work. Our presence is enough. Our presence is enough. I used to think it was all about saying the right words, right? And knowing the right things. And I always thought, oh, I need more training, I need more classes, I need to read another book. I'm done with that in a year. But, you know, the truth is no, none of that. And in fact, words really have nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with this. What I found is that as I just sit in, and stay in that heart space of compassionate presence, people will hear exactly what they need to hear no matter what words come out of my mouth. It doesn't even matter. I hear back and I go, I didn't say that, but that was exactly what they needed to hear, so I guess I did, And every one of you is hearing what you need to hear. That's what I'm affirming right now. No matter what comes out of my mouth. And it's because our compassionate presence is enough. It's that soul-to-soul connection that binds us one to another. We are the rope, right? It is our heart. We are all one. The Upanishads put it this way: The little space within the heart is as great as the vast universe. The little space within the heart is as great as the vast universe. I love that. I love that. And so I'd like to end today with just a little blessing to ground these ideas in the heart. Ideas around that quote. So I just invite you to close your eyes. And just settle in this moment. Settle into that little space within the heart that is as vast as the universe. This is the heart of love. So huge, bottomless, limitless. And breathing into that warm and gentle space, let us recognize that we are the heart. We are the hands. We are the love. We are here to do the good of God. God is the good we do. Today we give the warmth and gentleness that we are. We use our voice to speak our truth. The love of God flows out of us and spreads out to touch other hearts, and it allows others to touch ours in perfect connection. I'm so grateful for all that is and all that I have and all that we know and all that we are. We are so blessed by being a blessing. And so it is, and so we are. Amen. So my invitation to you this week, keep your heart open, right? And see that oneness that we all share. See the rope that binds us. And be the compassionate presence in the world. Live spirit in connection. Thank you very much.